Are you thinking about building a brand new construction home? It sounds exciting, but there are a few things you need to know so you can avoid some unwanted surprises down the road. So before you sign on that dotted line, let's talk about a few things you need to know about the new construction process. My name is Evan and I'm a local Cincinnati realtor, and I help people just like you every single day make their move in Cincinnati. In this video, I'm specifically talking about new construction. I know that's an area of interest for a lot of people, and so I just want to go over some common things that I see that you may not know about the new construction process. So the goal of this video is to make sure that you are well informed before you start that process. If you have any questions, whether it's about new construction or just Cincinnati real estate in general, I'd love to help you out. All of my contact information will be in the description. All right, let's get started with the first thing you need to know about the new construction process. This is going to be financing. So this is pretty much the same if you're doing new construction or if you're purchasing a resale home out on the market. Either way, the first thing you need to do is get financing secured. So you're going to need to talk to a lender to get pre-qualified, or I should say get pre-approved, because there is a difference in pre-qualification and pre-approval. If you'd like to know about the differences, let me know. But you need to get pre-approved by a lender. Now, most builders are going to have a lender that they prefer and they push you to use. I highly recommend you get at least one outside opinion from another lender. And that's just, the more options you have, the better it is for you, because you're essentially making those lenders compete to offer you the best rates and terms. Now, I will say in Cincinnati, especially with some of the bigger home builders here, like Fisher Homes, for instance, they are going to have deals that they can cut if you use their preferred lender. So a lot of times, other lenders might not be able to compete with the rates that they're offering. So that's awesome, but I still recommend don't just take their word for it. At least go out and get one other outside opinion, because you never know. And I would highly recommend having that other lender or your real estate agent, like me or someone else that you prefer, look over the loan estimate statements you get from those lenders, because sometimes lenders can make it seem like they're giving you a really good rate, but in actuality, they're putting in there a bunch of mortgage points. And so what that means is you're going to pay an upfront cost to buy down your rate. And so you might end up bringing an extra $5,000, $10,000 to the closing table that you didn't know about. All right, the next thing you need to know about the new construction process is the timeline. Now, I know it might be kind of a running joke. You might have heard people joke around about how the company says, hey, it's going to take 8 months to build this, and then, it takes a year. Unfortunately, that is true, and that is what I would expect. Are there instances where a home gets finished quicker or it gets finished on time? Yes, but almost always there is going to be hurdles that are unexpected but expected. So there could be a week of just horrible weather and the builders can't build out there. If the building is taking place during some of the winter months, then obviously if there's snow on the ground or things like that, that could be potentially weeks where they're not able to get out there and work on the home. There's also a scenario where we run into a shortage on certain materials like lumber and things like that. So definitely be prepared for delays in the building timeline. I'm actually working with some clients right now who are building in Northern Kentucky, and it's been pushed back a few times. We're probably going to end up going into early 2026, and it was originally set to be done in late this month or early next month. But I had kind of prepped them going into it like, hey, I would expect add on another month or two. Unfortunately, it might be another 3 or 4 months, but that's just how these things go. It's better to know this ahead of time and be prepared than to get your hopes up that it's going to get done on time and then it doesn't. And those last 2, 3, 4 months are just excruciating and you're angry. So I want you to be prepared that it can take longer than what the builder tells you. Before we get on to the next point, if you have any questions so far in the video, please let me know either in the comments or my contact information is in the description. And if you've enjoyed the video so far, if you could consider giving me a like and subscribing, that'd be helpful. But let's get on to the next point. All right, and number 3, I won't spend a ton of time on this, but I think it's good for you to know. Just keep in mind, If you are considering new construction, maybe you decide, hey, you know what, this weekend I'm gonna go check out a model home. We're just kind of window shopping right now, but we just want to check things out. Keep in mind that builders have builder reps that will be there and they'll be able to give you a lot of information on the home, which is awesome. I mean, they're going to be able to tell you everything because it's their job to know about all of the base items that come in with that particular floor plan and which items might be upgrades. So that's awesome. You definitely want to pick their brain about that. However, keep in mind that that builder rep works for the builder. And I highly recommend that you hire a buyer's agent to work for you. This is at no cost to you. So it could be me. I would love to help you out. But if there's another agent out there that you prefer, I would recommend hiring an agent in some capacity because this is going to be free to you. It's no cost. The builders will pay this. It's written into the contract. So they will pay the commission and you are getting somebody who's going to advocate for you, who has a fiduciary duty to you. So they're going to be loyal to you. They're going to negotiate for you. They're going to be able to walk through the contract with you, negotiate inspections and inspection periods and all of these things. So I highly, highly, highly recommend taking a buyer's agent with you the first time you go, because a lot of builders have a rule where once you've talked to the builder rep and made contact with the builder rep and you don't mention in that first contact that you have an agent, they will not pay the buyer's agent commission. So I recommend going with your agent, but if for some reason they tell you they can't make it, at the very least tell them you have an agent. But I love going on these meetings, so if you're interested, and even if it's just window shopping and you want somebody to tag along just to kind of help out, I'd love to go with you and take a look. So let me know. My contact information is in the description. All right, the next thing you need to know is the base price is just the base price. And so you're probably like, well, duh. But kind of tagging off of what I just talked about with the builder reps, they are awesome and they are very knowledgeable. However, I have heard instances of clients walking through a home, they walk through a model home and they really loved most of what the model home had in terms of upgrades and stuff, but they didn't realize it was upgrades. So they're going through and picking these items out, and then come to find out after they're under contract that they just paid for 20, 30, $40,000 worth of upgrades. So I highly recommend while you're walking through with a builder rep, tell them to point out what items are upgrades, or even just say anything that you might want. Just say like, hey, can you let me know what items in here are in the base price and what things might be considered an upgrade. I know at Fisher Homes, they have a whole design studio, so that's an option for you after you walk through a model home. You can go to their design studio with your agent and with a builder rep, and you can walk through and pick out every upgrade you want, and you will be told about a rough estimate of how much that upgrade would cost. They do have to kind of estimate some of these because things like lumber might go up over the course of 9 months and things like that. All right, the next item we're going to talk about is the home inspection. Now, all of the builders will have their own home inspector. A lot of them kind of have their own company, their own employees that are home inspectors, or they have a company that they hire out typically. And that's okay to use. You could still go with that. A lot of times it's kind of already included in the contract, but I highly, 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 highly recommend getting a third-party inspection from another inspector. If you have a realtor that you're using during this process, there's a good chance they probably know some inspectors that they would recommend. If you need a recommendation, please let me know. I've got a few. I'd be happy to recommend them to you. The reason for this, I'm not saying that the inspector the builder hires is going to purposely not check off things or let things slip by, but it's better to be safe than sorry when you're talking about spending hundreds of $1,000s on a home that's being built new. So you want it built a certain way, right? You want it built and you're expecting quality. So I highly recommend doing this. One thing to keep in mind though, I will say on every inspection, doesn't matter how old or how new the home is, there will always be things that are on the inspection report. A lot of these things are going to be minor, so you kind of have to just pick and choose what is worth fighting over. However, I definitely understand with new construction, you're expecting even the minor things to be correct. And so that's where it helps to have a realtor to go in and negotiate these things, either getting the builder to redo it and correct it or knock some money off if it's just a minor thing that you can live with, things like that. And this is kind of another topic, but I'm just going to lump it in here because I won't talk about it too much. But most builders will have warranties for your home. They all vary in terms of length, like 10 years, 5 years, or longer. And you'll just want to make sure that you read into that and what is actually covered, because you don't want to think that you have, say, a countertop that got heavily scratched and you're like, oh, it's covered. But in actuality, it was like, no, it's only covered if it does this amount of damage. And we sent our guy out and he estimated that it's not enough damage. Things like that. I highly recommend reading through the warranties that they offer and just knowing what to expect in the event that something like that comes up. All right, this one is super overlooked in my opinion. I don't hear a ton of people talking about it, but please make sure you talk to the builder rep and ask them about the future plans of the community, especially if this is like a brand new community where they're just now starting to build homes. They're gonna have plans more than likely for future construction of homes. A lot of times what these builders do is they'll buy up a ton of land, but they're not building homes on the whole area. They'll have phase one and phase two and phase three. So a lot of times that's already planned out. So ask the builder rep about the plans for those phases, when they're expected to take place. And it's a good idea to ask this because you might find out, oh, in phase two, they're actually planning on some commercial stuff. So there's going to be a huge grocery store or like a strip mall here. And maybe you don't want that because you don't want a ton of traffic near your home. So I highly recommend asking about this. It's just a good idea so you'll know, like, hey, next year for like an entire year, we're gonna have a ton of construction because they're starting phase two. Or, hey, phase two's over here, we want to be over here. So when they do start that, we won't hear all that construction, things like that. It helps you kind of pick out the lot and just know what to expect in your first few years living there. All right, and my last point is don't think that just because you're buying new construction that negotiation is not possible. It definitely is possible. Now, obviously, it's going to depend on the demand for those new construction homes in that area and with that builder. But even though the price might seem like it's set in stone, the builder rep might say, like, this is the price for this is the price for this, and they seem like it's set in stone, it doesn't mean it necessarily is, especially if there's not as much demand. Think about it. The builder is only making money if they sell these homes, so they're going to be willing to negotiate a little bit if the demand is not there. You might be able to negotiate some money off closing costs or the price of some upgrades or appliances. I know sometimes certain builders won't include like a fridge, so you can negotiate, hey, we want you to also put a fridge in here, things like that. So before you jump into buying a new construction home, please remember it's not all sunshine and rainbows and just picking out floor plans and all of that. There are real costs and real timelines and risk involved with purchasing any home, but there's unique risk with a new construction home. So if you're thinking about purchasing a new construction home, or maybe you're just now like, hey, that would be cool one day, even if it's a year from now, if you have questions, please reach out. I'd love to talk to you about that and answer any questions you might have. And maybe we can even go check out a few model homes together and just get an idea of what you like and don't like. All of my contact information is in the description, so you can call, text, email, or book a call with me. I have people reach out to me like every day with different contact methods, so that's why I have those there. Whatever you're most comfortable with, I will make sure to get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, if you could do me a favor and consider subscribing for more content like this, and also giving it a like, it would help me out a ton. And let me know if there's a certain video you'd like to see me make. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.